My loves, welcome back to Growing Pains with Jess, because growing older and wiser is hard fucking work. It's episode 2. This is the first episode that we're properly gonna get into topics. I know that episode 1 was perhaps an anticlimax because it really was just an introductory, hello, this is who I am and this is what I want to talk about, and see you next time. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you guys. I recorded the intro episode a month before I'm recording this. And the reason I left it so long is the sheer fear of having to divulge some of my, what I like to call my darkest little inward thoughts to pretty much the World Wide Web, filled me with a fear that I actually couldn't conquer for quite a while. I really had to sit in the discomfort and try and push through. I think like people will relate to when you feel like you just have that calling, it doesn't go away, it just gets louder and your anxiety gets worse. Like I literally didn't sleep really last night and I woke up super early because my body is just like, hun, fucking get on with it. Get on with it. Keep going. So we're here. I do have to warn you as well. You guys might be hearing my tummy rumbling as we're recording. Like I've had just this weird exhaustion / sickness bug for the last few days. And I'm kind of eating little bits as I can, but I am ultimately quite hungry. But also if I eat more than that, it just doesn't go very well. So I'm not feeling great. I do have a hot water bottle, if you can see, under my top, looking pretty good. And I have a little herbal tea just to get me through this. But I wanted to speak anyway because I'm not going to be 100% every single time I record. That's so ridiculous. I can only give what I have in the tank. And in the tank today, it's about 30% I would say. So we're just going to go with it. We're just going to go with it. I have actually written notes for this episode because I found that last week I was a bit all over the place and editing was a bit of a nightmare because my brain is just insane. It hops around like fucking Bugs Bunny, and it's about time that we sort of put some reins on said bunny and had some order. I hate myself. So I guess the first thing I want to talk about is how my life has been in the month that I recorded the first episode up until now. Life has been wonderful. Life is wonderful for me at the moment, which is great because I know that happiness is temporary. So I am just bathing in the sunshine that is my life right now. One thing that I've been doing a lot of recently is platonic dating. I've gone on 2 platonic dates recently. I know, crazy. I'm really putting myself out there. One is a bloke that I met in the smoking area of a pub at 2 a.m. after a Confidence Man gig in Brixton. And we instantly just got on, and I went to a gig with him recently. We had the best time. Bearing in mind, I do not really know this man, but we went to the pub, went to the gig, had the best time. We're already booking more things to do with each other. We're going to a Catherine Ryan show. That's the word, show. We're going to Catherine Ryan show soon, and he's just a glorious person to know. I love hanging out with him. Fabulous. My second platonic date is a girl that I met at a press dinner months ago. I think I said in the intro episode, I have a silly job where I make silly videos about things to do in London. And I was at a press dinner and there was kind of like influencers at the table as well. And there was this one girl, we weren't even sat next to each other, but there was an energy across the room. Do you know what I mean? And that was months ago. And I just thought, do you know what? I'm going to hit her up. So I just sent her a message like, do you want to come to dinner with me? Because again, I get to go to free dinners at nice places. She came. One of the best nights I've had in fucking ages. In this day and age, more than ever, we should be doing way more platonic dating. Let's date the shit out of each other. Let's fall in love platonically with all the people around us. Anytime we just see a cool person, just get speaking to them. Be like, I would like your Instagram or your number, and I would like to see you again because I think we'd have a really, really good time. I truly believe everyone is in the same boat of like, I could probably do with a couple more friends. I could probably do with a couple more people in my phone book to hit up if I want to go out on a Friday night. I really do believe that like most people sit in that boat. And so I just do not have qualms now about like asking these people out. I just don't care. I'm like, I like you. I think we will have a good time. If we don't, we don't. I have gone on one platonic date where I was like, you're nice. I've enjoyed my time, but I'm not going to see you again. And that's so fine. It's like dating. You just respectfully move along. Now, look, I know I'm saying this as an extrovert. I mean, I use the word extrovert very loosely because I have very introvert qualities. I think everyone does. I don't think many people are one or the other, but I know I definitely find it easier to just be like, hello, good day. But I had to work really hard for that. I really, really had to work very hard for that. I have had periods in my life where I literally couldn't speak to a new person at all without crying or having a panic attack. Do you know what? I'm going to have the hot water bottle out because I don't want people to think that I'm like insanely bloated tonight. The hot water bottle is out. What I'm saying is, since I've been single for the last year and realizing that I was really codependent on my partner for fulfilling most of my social needs, I've had to get out there. I live by myself. Like, I have to have a good social life. Otherwise, it will inevitably get lonely as much as I love being by myself. So platonic dating has just been something that's revolutionized my entire being. And I've just had 2 really good platonic dates recently. And I think, unlike forced friends where you were in the same uni halls or on the same course or went to school together, your found friends, they're pretty fucking special because you've chosen them. You have like at a point in your life where you know yourself and you know what you want. You have found someone that also has those same values, and that's incredible. Anyway, so I had fantastic platonic dates. Also, something that bamboozled me was that in the last episode I said right at the end that I have had a period of celibacy and I haven't dated anyone, I haven't touched anyone. That's such a weird way of saying it, but I don't know how else to say. There has been no sexual contact of any kind with any person in a year. Little did I know, hours after recording that podcast, that would change. Tee-hee. I didn't know that's the beauty of life. Life is a funny old thing. And in the month that I haven't recorded this podcast, I've sort of been seeing that same person. And it was such a lovely experience. It's over now. I'll explain why in a bit, but do you know what? The last time I was dating was when I was 24 years old, or maybe 23, because I really didn't even date that much in my 20s. And I met my ex in a pub. I didn't meet him like online or whatever. And my ability to date now as a secure, mentally well 30-year-old, as opposed to a, oh my God, completely damaged, insecure, anxious, scared, terrified 24-year-old is absolutely wild. Like, it's moments like that where you see the growth, and the growth is like, damn, I've come a long way. I'm telling you now that dating when you're mentally well is a fucking joy. I never understood when people used to say, oh, I love dating. I love it. I'd be like, how? How can you possibly enjoy the inevitable panic attack that you get before meeting said person? And then the constant stress of like, am I pleasing this person? Am I attractive to this person? Blah, 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 blah. I never got it until I got my brain in order. And now I'm just like, it's great. Like, dating is great. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still not actively pursuing dating, but the guy that I met literally in real life, at a gig. Again, gigs are a great way to meet people. And it was just a really, really lovely month of getting to know a truly gorgeous human being. Like, he is so lovely. Ultimately, we just weren't aligned in terms of emotional maturity. He's going through his shit and he's figuring things out. And I recognize everything that he's going through because been there, done that. But if he was several, steps along the ladder, up the ladder, I would be so happy to like join him on those steps and we can go up together. But if you haven't even taken the first step, I think that's when there is just too much of a difference. Do you know what I mean? I can't put him on the fucking step. He has to get there himself. So, yay for secure dating, because when those expectations weren't met and there was like a pattern of inconsistency, I very easily actually was just like, hey, you know what? I really love hanging out with you. I think you are so cool. I've had the best time with you, but the inconsistency is just not kind of what I'm looking for, but really loved hanging out. Bye. And it was just really nice. And we had a lovely phone call, a FaceTime, and rounded it all off in a great way, and fucking no hard feelings. And that is the beauty, again, of dating when you are well, because you can advocate for yourself. And I'm not fixated on this person because my life is so rich and full without another human being that I'm not fantasizing. I'm not obsessing over this person. Although, let's not claim that I'm Jesus here. I did not have, a miraculous time dating him. The first week, my emotional regulation was a little bit out of whack. It was my first fucking time dating anyone but my ex for like, what was it? Like 7 years. 7 years. So I could feel myself falling into those old patterns of like, oh my God, why hasn't he texted me back? I haven't had enough reassurance, and all these things, and like, he took 4 hours to reply to me, so I'll take 5. Dumb shit. And thank God that shit like only lasted like a week max, but really just a few days, and then my emotions steadied out and I was like, bitch, you don't have to go back to that old version of you. You do not have to do the old Jess way of dating. That was not good. You're a new person now. And it's kind of fascinating how the brain sort of figures it out and it's like, oh yeah, we're good. I forgot. I'm sorry. We're good. And then it was great. Had a great time. Another thing that I massively learned with dating for the first time in 8 years is we text people that we're starting to date way too much. Like, I don't understand how I hadn't realized this before. But when you text someone constantly who you don't actually really know, maybe you've gone on 1-2 dates, when you're texting them constantly, it creates this false sense of intimacy and connection and stability. And all of that is completely bullshit. Anyone can text. But you, in that constant texting, you're already building up sort of a life and a fantasy of this person just based off some texts on a screen. And it's wild. And actually meeting this guy that I was dating, he was very much like, I'm not about that. I want to have like more meaningful connections, but more infrequently. And again, like I found that kind of alien because the last time I was dating was when I was 23, 24 years old. And I was like, no, you need to be obsessed with me. You need to be sending me good morning and good night texts every single day. No. Oh my goodness. When you kind of make like a promise to a person that you're interested in that, perhaps once a day we'll have like a meaningful check-in. And by that, it could be a FaceTime. It could be, he actually did lots of video voice note things, which I liked. I'm on board with now. Or just a voice note, or just like a picture or something with some messages. Like, that's so much more meaningful to me. And it also really builds a meaningful connection with another person as opposed to a fake one. So I really learned that communication in early days especially just does not need to be intense or too much. I mean, there was one period where he didn't message me for a day and a half and I was just like, fair, he's fucking busy. I don't know this man. Like, as much as I've spent actually quite a lot of good quality time with him, I don't know him. I don't know him. He doesn't owe me anything. And I think changing my mindset with that has been huge. That will benefit me in every other person that I ever meet. We are so prone, especially in the world of dating, to revert to black and white thinking. And by that, I mean, if he does this, it's good. If he does that, it's bad. If he does this, he likes me. If he does this, he doesn't. We're humans. We are so complex. We are so diverse in our thoughts and our actions and our behaviors. And quite frankly, getting to know another person does really showcase all of those diversities, because people have to be quite vulnerable, but also you're getting to know someone. So you're sort of holding back and you're trying to put on your best self and your best show. And it's really not okay or helpful to be implementing this black and white thinking especially when it comes to dating someone in the early days. I think we need to be giving so much more grace in those periods. So much more grace. If there is a blip in communication, that is okay. Your happiness does not depend on this person texting you back. If there is an inconsistency in communication at the beginning, if there is something that they said that you actually, it bothered you, that is okay. You can bring that up. You definitely should bring that up, but it's okay that happened. And it's the same with you. You're going to make a mistake, okay? I just feel that the more we give each other grace and look at each other in forms of empathy as opposed to threat, God, we'll be so much happier. People, on the whole, are not out to hurt you and they're not out to get you. And it's as simple as that. Whenever I talk to older people about things that I'm worried about, they are so much more fluid in their thinking. They're so much more compassionate. Whereas millennials, Gen Z, we are way too fucking black, white, yes, no. It's got to stop, okay? Black and white thinking will not stop you getting hurt, but it will probably stop you making connections. God, I sound like my therapist. It's almost like all these years of therapy have really, really paid off. It's incredible. Now, obviously, I've spoken about my little blip, my little dip the toe into dating for the first time in 7 or 8 years. But I also need to talk about how being single for a year affected me and was great. Okay, we're going to talk about that now. Now, I'm going to put it out there. I think that every single person on this planet should, for at least a year, go through a period where they do not date and they do not sleep with anyone. And not just that, they're not thinking about it. Completely decentering dating and relationships and sexual contact. I swear to God, it has been so good for me. So good for me. And I'm so aware, especially for women, that decentering men is such a wild, difficult thing to do because we're built to basically center men. You know what I mean? From like day dot. There is just this complete obsession with finding a relationship, finding a man, dating. Oh, why aren't you dating? Oh my God, when was the last time you slept with someone? Oh my God, you need to get out there. You know what I mean? And it's actually exhausting. It is so exhausting. And having a year where I did not do any of those things and I purely focused on me, I will tell you what happened in that year, okay? In that year, I fell in love harder than I've ever fallen in love in my life. I fell in love with myself, with me. And I don't actually think that many people have fallen in love with themselves, because I know this sounds crazy, but I gave myself butterflies. And the way that I sort of describe that is I will be doing something by myself. I'm a big advocate these days of going to restaurants by yourself, gigs by yourself, literally anything by yourself, to be honest. And I would do those things and I'd be having such a bloody great time that I'd be jittery and I'd be like, this is so fun. Like the feeling that you get when you have a really good day and you're like, oh my God, that was so good. That's how I feel now when I'm by myself and I'm dating myself. And having that a year of being single meant that I was prioritizing dating myself, and it was fucking glorious. I last minute last year booked a flight to Prague. I was feeling just a little bit burnt out. I needed to escape and went to Prague by myself. This was my first solo trip, and I remember so clearly I had this one evening, right, where I had gone to a very nice restaurant. I took myself to this nice restaurant. I got myself dressed up and I was radiating joy. And so much so that people from other tables were like, you know, opening conversations with me. The waiters were just like so attentive to me, and actually, God bless them, they didn't charge me for pretty much anything that night. No alcohol, no starter, no dessert. It was great. And then one of the waiters told me, go to this bar. It's like up a hill in Prague. You can overlook all of Prague. It's really beautiful. So I took myself off. The walk was about half an hour and I got myself up the hill. The bloody bar wasn't even open by the time that I got there, because I got there, I think, about midnight. But I just was there in the garden overlooking Prague. And I actually almost cried because I just had this utter like feeling of warmth and belonging in myself, in my body, in my mind. And I realized that it was almost exactly the same feeling that I had when I fell in love with my ex. And yet I was doing it with myself. And it's one of the most beautiful things ever. And I truly believe if I didn't have that period of celibacy, which again, like I said in the last episode, wasn't intentional. But if I didn't have that period of celibacy, I wouldn't have prioritized and taken the time to really develop feelings for myself. Do you know what I mean? And since falling in love with myself, we're going strong. You know, we're still very much in love. I think it's going to be a lifelong commitment. I hope so anyway. And I just would really urge everyone to take that period of time to do the same if you can. I mean, you can still fall in love with yourself, Christ, if you're with someone. Of course you can. But just for me at that point in my life, bearing in mind I'd spent most of my 20s with a man that was incredibly draining and really just sucked out any magic that I had in me. Not in a malicious way, but just purely because we were not compatible and we were trying to force compatibility that was not there. It was just fucking great, like setting a light to that magic again. And actually the magic was stronger than I've ever known it to be. I didn't even know all of this was in here. It's a glorious, glorious thing. Yay to being single and prioritizing yourself. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to make this the main focus of next week's episode, but something you have to know about me is that I am bisexual, and I didn't realize that until I was midway through my long-term relationship. And I have not explored that bisexuality. I mean, I've got with girls, I fancy girls, but I haven't taken any steps in that direction until next weekend. Next weekend, I am going to a lesbian night with my friend who is also bisexual and also in the same position that she hasn't really explored it. So we're going to explore it together. It's going to be a pub full of queer women. It's going to be marvelous. I'm shitting myself in the sense of I haven't inserted myself in queer spaces and suddenly I'm in a pub full of it. However, I just think this is the most exciting thing ever. I get to be in a queer space for the first time. I get to meet queer women. You know, if nothing else, I would love to leave with at least, a couple of friendships, so that I'm part of this queer space, because I don't think I can properly explore my bisexuality without having queer friends and going to queer places, So this is my first ever dip of the toe into the pool of the gay. I'm so excited. Obviously, I'll be letting you guys know how that flipping goes, and perhaps talking a little bit more about being a late bloomer in the queer community, because I don't hear that many people talking about figuring out that they like women later in life. I know that it happens, and I know that there are examples of it, but I don't hear it being commonly widely spoken about. And I kind of have my reasons as to why I think I was late to realizing that I wasn't just obsessed with girls, I fancied girls, And I would really like to talk about that next week. And it sort of touches on a little bit perhaps about my 20s and the headspace that I was in that time period, which as the episodes go on, you'll learn more and more about that time period. Not a good one, not a great one, but let's fucking chat about it. Now, I'm aware that in the last episode, I did sort of a call out, if you guys have any growing pains with being single, I'd love to hear it. Look, I haven't done like a social media call out for that at all. I haven't pushed for that. And I think it's because it didn't actually feel natural to me. I don't want to be pushing people for comment. I want those comments and that conversation to happen organically. So, you know, I'm perhaps hoping that in comments of this episode, that will happen and I can touch on that in the next episode. You see what I mean? That's what I'm hoping. I don't want to push it. I don't feel it's natural or right to do that. Obviously, I hope in the not too distant future, I'll have people join me on the podcast. I already have some people lined up that I really, really want to speak to because they're fantastic speakers. They've had a wealth of experience, some of them in their short lives, some of them in their long lives. And I just think that'd be a really lovely way to hear other people's stories. And perhaps commenting will be another way, or maybe it won't. Maybe I won't get the input in that way. But I just wanted to touch on that I wasn't ignoring what I had said. I don't know, I'm not quite sure that begging for comment is the way that I want to do this podcast. If you've got to the end of this episode, fucking thank you. I know that this was a much longer episode, so the fact that you are still listening and fuck, thank you. I don't know why you have. I really appreciate it. That's really, really, really nice of you. I will see you next week. I'm so excited to divulge all the gossip from my big gay night out and just talk generally about, again, life, growing pains, shit that we go through. I'm excited. If there's anything that perhaps you want me to talk about, please let me know. I'm always up for that. If you want me to expand on something that I spoke about in this episode, of course, talk to me. But yeah, until then, I fucking love you, and I'll see you next time.
I did it.